When Tim said, you need to write a book, he felt really great about my writing skills. He was reading my blog post and he said, you have this gift. And it really was very affirming to me for him to think that. But then he confided later, I wasn't real sure about illustrating, if it could match what you were doing. So my mother, who was the art teacher, and she gave her advice, and she said, it really, with the sweetness of the story, it needs to be done in watercolors. Well, I had total fail with watercolors. I could do, I was real crafty with acrylics and had done Make Mine Country stuff back in the 80s. And so she brought me a box filled with tubes of watercolor paints, and well, I'd never used those. And she had paper, and she had palettes and brushes and all the stuff. And so she left it with me. So I would get it out and I would squirt the tube. So I didn't know where this was all going. I had a story, but there was no pressure. So it was like, I'll try this, and if it doesn't go, you know what? We tried and I failed, and we'll go on to the next thing. Everything truly is, it's an adventure. I just started, thought, who else can do this? Who else can draw all this little stuff, all these little things and nuances? So my mother is talking me through this, and so she said, just start. So I just start, and I'm painting, and so I'd click a picture with my cell phone, and I would shoot her an email and say, what about this? And she'd write back, no, you're using these paints like acrylics. You've got to water them down. I'm like, okay, water them down. I don't even know what I'm doing. So, I have stuff to prove, because people think, you've just been doing this. You're just making this up. I'm like, no, I have proof of how horrible it was at the beginning. So you just start. You just jump in. No fear. You can't have fear, because how do you know what you're capable of doing if you don't try? And that became my mantra. Once I realized I can do, and finally, trial after trial, and she's like, finally I said, okay, what about this? And she's like, that's it. Like, okay, mother's approval is huge. It was very, very juvenile, let's just say, but it was a start, and it was sweetness. And then I felt, do we put this out here? How do you even get in touch with people or know who to send anything to? That was when it kind of got scary, like, you're putting it out here, and what are people going to think? Because I didn't want someone to be negative, and that would just have crushed me. And so I just kept going, and I thought, I'll get a lot of work under my belt, and then I'll have a body of work, and then that will be significant. Meeting women who would say, you just started doing this when you turned 50. Okay, you turned 50 and you just started, you weren't doing this before. I said, I taught school. I did that, and that just took every creative amount of energy out of me. And it took being away from that, retiring from that, becoming a Grammy, being on that level of play, and then realizing I could do this. Wait, if I could do that, maybe I could do that. And so these women now are saying, well, I wonder what my thing is. I said, you won't know until you find that thing that you have to do. You can't not do it. Then you realize that's your passion. You can't go look and say, what is my passion? What is going to be my bliss? You just keep trying things. Put yourself out there, try something new. You don't know what you can't do unless you try it. And I started realizing that I could look up anything on YouTube and figure it out. I have folders with ideas and text and illustrations, and it's just, I can't get them out fast enough. There's not enough time, there aren't enough hours and energy, and we keep taking all these adventures, so I keep thinking, surely it'll all come together and piece together in time. And it's a balance, and that quote from Beatrix Potter that said, finding the balance between the spirit world of childhood, but then common sense. You cannot live in this little world all the time. It's a great distraction. Life is just life. And my favorite children's movie growing up was Lady and the Tramp. And there was Darling and Jim Dear. I think, I am not Darling, and you are certainly not Jim Dear. Life is just real. But that storybook world that you get to slip into, it's a balance.